What's going on YouTube? Remix Serial here, back with another video, and today is a pretty important day. I am getting a major mod done to the car. As you guys can see from the title, I'm going to be switching the car over to E85, and today I'm going to be vlogging the entire time. I'm not going to vlog the drive there because I think that content is kind of boring, but I will vlog myself in the building, and I will vlog my first impressions after the car's tuned. So by the end of the video, I will be showing you guys what my impressions are. So let me go ahead and roll the intro. I'm gonna get into the parts that I just bought. Let's hop into it.
Give me the green light like John Legend. I wrote in the sex, I'm a force to be reckoned with. Like Ralph, I'm wrecking shit. One day I'ma be on the jet with this. Where's Keisha, cause I'm heaven sent. I got power like a 50 cent. I'm more certified than a president. Man, I'm telling you, I'm big stepping, big flex. Goddamn, I'm feeling like Hercules. Niggas aren't saying I'm not from Earth. That nigga must be from Mercury. I'm the man with that plan. Next year, my vid's gonna be on demand. My shit stay crack, it's contraband. Only fans gon' understand, get a helping hand. I'm the main man, Batman, and you niggas Robins. Ayy, they like how is he winning the race at that pace when he's only jogging? Ayy, I used to flex in the Charger, now I'm making a cut like a barber. Ayy, my dreams can coast not farther. Ayy, trying to get me.
All right, so it is around 7 a.m. in the morning, and the shop that I am going to is called Vegas Auto Performance. It's up in Cary, Illinois, so it's about, I don't know, an hour and a half away from me. So I woke up first thing in the morning this Saturday to get the parts up there and to get the car up there. Because it is a long drive, I will be staying up there until the car is done. So I have a emergency blanket because he does have a waiting room, and I have a pillow here. But let me go ahead and move all this stuff out of the way. But as you can see, I bought myself a flex fuel badge for the car. I'm probably gonna put this bad boy, boom, right there. But the good stuff, so let me move this paperwork out of the way. So as you can see, this is the performance kit. Also, major shout out to Aunt Frank on YouTube. Check him out. He's got a crazy Camaro 01, and he lives like up the street from me, and he works down the street from me too. But he's been helping me out picking out these parts for the car. He told me that E85 is a super easy mod to do for these LT1 engines. For those of you that don't know, for the LT1 engine, when you switch over to E85, all you need to do is have this fuel line and the flex fuel sensor and all this other stuff. This kit runs for around 200 bucks. And after you install it, you can expect around 45 horsepower and around 50 plus pound-feet of torque. He said it's very, very noticeable. So yeah, this is the first performance mod for the build, which is it's pretty funny because the Mustang got the first performance mod I've ever done to a car, but the Corvette is definitely not going to be slouching behind anymore. For those of you that also don't know, or I guess major announcement, I want to actually turn the Z51, this C7 Corvette, I want to actually be able to outpace a stock Hellcat. I've never really been a fan of how fast these Hellcats or muscle cars have gotten. I think I want to make this car a little bit faster. So faster than the 10-speed Mustang, faster than the 10-speed Camaro, and faster than the Hellcat. So this is the first step in doing that. So the E85 will be going in, and then the main reason, and I just want to see for YouTube's sake and for vlogging sake, I want to see how much my gas mileage is affected, because when you switch over to flex fuel, you do consume about 20% more gas. But here in the Chicago suburbs, gas and premium is around like $6.50, whereas E85 is around $3.80. So it's almost half of the price, but I'm going to burn 20% more fuel. So I believe there's a few dollars I can be saving there as well. So yeah, I'm gonna hop in the car. I'm probably gonna pick up the camera once I get to their location in Cary, Illinois. And again, this is going to be done at the Vegas Auto Performance place. He has no idea I'm gonna be recording, so I'm gonna give you guys my first impressions regarding him and the shop. So let's hit the road. All right, guys. So I just arrived here in Cary, Illinois, with Vegas Auto Performance right here behind me. I'm gonna put a link to their website if they have one, and their address down below. But as you can see, I've got the owner has his laptop in there loading in my stock file and all that stuff. He's got my keys in there, and yeah, so I'm gonna be checking in with you guys after he gets the car pulled in. Maybe I'll record him doing that, I don't know. But so far it's really cool. There's a few high horsepower cars here, especially when you go to car meets and everything like that. You're used to looking at stock Hellcats and stuff like that parked, but a lot of these cars are making like over 700 rear wheel horsepower. This red one is really cool. He just tuned it. There's a white one in there making over 1,000 horsepower, but it looks stock. And Aunt Frank's car is actually in there as well, being worked on and getting whatever the fuck he wants to get done to the car. So Tuning with you. What's going on? It's been a few hours, and there's a few things actually going on with my Corvette. As you guys know, I actually bought that car used. I bought that car when they had around, I think around 69,000 miles. And the reason I mentioned that is because while he was putting in the E85 flex fuel sensor, he noticed that there was actually a broken pin where it's supposed to go. So I'm assuming there's something in my hair actually, real quick. Anyway, I'm assuming that the previous owner actually installed E85 on this car. He also noticed that a bunch of the fender bolts are missing from the previous owner. And when I bought the car, actually the front tow hook mount and the rear tow hook mount for the Z51 cars, mines are missing because I'm assuming the previous owner took it with them. So he was able to get that going. And also the kit that I got from Lethal Performance or Lethal Garage, I forgot what it was. They actually sent me a kit, but the pin that goes from the engine bay all the way down to the passenger side fender was actually a little too small. Or not too small, too short. But he was able to fix that. He was able to extend that cable and put it in. So he's out probably dynoing or tuning the car. You know, I don't know how long it's going to take him, but he's out doing that. And he's doing a tremendous job. I've been kind of watching him while I'm in the office. And, I mean, he seems very confident. He does this stuff all the time. He specializes in LT1 engines. So I'm just kind of waiting for him to get back. The tank is really, really low. I drove it over here with like 15 miles left in the tank, which is good for him, so I can switch over to E85 when I walk out of here. Okay, guys, so it's actually the next day. The car came out great. As you can see, I have the E85 Flex Fuel badge right there. It's an OEM GM part that matches the E85 in the car. But I shot a video, a conclusion video yesterday or the day that it got on E85, but I wanted to drive the car for an additional day and kind of sum up some of my thoughts on my experience with it so far regarding the prices. So I have a 5 pros and a 5 cons list. So let me go ahead and get the camera turned around, and I'm gonna go ahead and tell you guys my initial thoughts on E85, who E85 is really for, if you should get it, if you shouldn't get it. I'm going to that right now. Okay, so I'm going to start this list with some pros. And the obvious one, the number one pro, is that you get more horsepower and you get way more torque. My tuner said that I can expect around 30 to 40 horsepower from this tune. And I am tuned for E70, so anything up to E70 is good. And then anything over E70, I'm not really getting any additional power. But I did gain horsepower and I did gain a bit of torque. And those are noticeable gains. Excuse my hair, I just drove with the top off. But those are really noticeable gains, and I step on it on the highway and like it's enough to notice it in your everyday driving. The car feels very refined. I guess my experience with it is that the car feels very raw after the tune. These cars are very subtly tuned or conservative from the factory, but the tune really rakes it up, and the E85 is a huge it's a massive improvement all over the base tune, so that's a massive plus for the E85. My next point is that E85 is a much cheaper fuel. Now I'm gonna say this throughout the video, but this list is for my personal experience. Now, E85 prices vary from state to state, county to county, city to city. For example, the E85 where my tune was done is in Cary, Illinois, which is around an hour and a half away from me. And E85 was around $5.20, whereas back here at home, down the street from me, E85 is around $3.90, which is awesome. Premium out here is around $6.50, and I only see that get you out of the light. I only see that premium is going to continue to go up in my area or in the United States in general, and E85 at my station hasn't really risen in the past 2 months. I've been kind of keeping an eye on it and doing my homework before I decide to do the switch to E85. And gas is about half to fill up the tank in the Corvette now over premium. Now, like I mentioned before, you're going to want to do your research before you do E85. I don't know if it's going to be worth it regarding just saving on gas. For me, saving on gas was a big one, and I just so happen to have a really cheap station near me. I'm saving about half. So yeah, that's a huge plus for E85. Typically, the gasoline is much cheaper than your premium fuel. If you do have another vehicle and you're going to go from 87 to E85, the savings are marginal, if any, depending on your area. So that is a huge plus for E85. It's cheaper gas. And for me especially, I'm getting like, I spend like half to fill up the tank these days. So a huge plus for E85. Okay, so E85 is an alcohol-based fuel. I'm not an expert with E85, but I do know this. E85 burns a lot cooler and it keeps the engine temperatures down. Especially in this Corvette, it can get really hot, and the fuel burns a lot cleaner. And actually, let me see if I can get you guys with the tailpipes here. These tailpipes are pretty dirty, but if you are one of those people that kind of care about this kind of thing, because the gas burns a little cleaner, the tailpipes don't get as dirty. That's if you kind of care about that kind of thing. But the engine temperatures are down, and it just runs better in the car. I don't know what it is. For the people that drive these cars, you know how your car runs, but on E85, the car just feels a lot better. I don't know really how to explain it, but the car just really loves this fuel. And it really loves the fuel from the station that I go to, which is on my cons list. So stay tuned for that. But E85 does burn cleaner and it's better for the engine. So, hey. Okay, so for me, this doesn't really apply to me. But if you do have a boosted C7, a twin turbo car, or a supercharged car, or a pro-charged car, E85 is a massive component that can help you with your boosted applications. E85 is really good for turbocharged cars or supercharged cars. So if you do switch your car over to that fuel, you will see very impressive gains from just running E85. Now, I believe if you do switch over to E85, you will need to upgrade your fuel rails and your injectors, but that can get a little bit expensive. But if you've boosted your car, you probably already know that, but that is another plus for E85. Now, on to the cons list. I have 5 things on the cons list that you guys should probably be aware of. So let's hop into that. All right, I went ahead and moved the car into the garage. It's really warm out today, and I wanted to get a shot with at least one of my cars in the video. And I went ahead and took a seat, but starting off the list for the cons is the availability for E85. Not everyone has E85 stations around them. Some people have an E85 station 20 or 30 minutes away from them, which is a little, can be a little troublesome, you know, going 20, 30 minutes to get E85. Not all stations are open 24/7 like the one near me, especially if you live like somewhere out west or in Texas or in like Arizona or California. You know, these E85 stations are not readily available for everybody. Me being in Illinois, in the Midwest, we love our corn out here. We have a bunch of farmers. You know, E85 stations are everywhere, right? It's almost as popular or as common as regular pump gas for the most part. And I have an E85 station down the street from me, right? So I'm really lucky to have that and have it really cheap. But this does not apply to everyone. So that's something you should probably look into if you're going to be switching over to E85. There are multiple applications on your phone, on Android and iOS. It's like E85 trackers or alternative gas that you can kind of use to see what kind of stations you have around you. But yeah, E85 is not available for everyone. It's not super common in the United States, only in the Midwest. Out west, you're kind of stranded. And even if you are out there, E85 may be more expensive than it is out here in the Midwest. So if you're trying to save gas to moving to a flex fuel or just strictly E85, that's something to take into consideration. The second con I have is actually price. Now, this is actually on the pros list, but I feel like this is also on the cons list because of the wide variety of prices that you can be paying for E85, especially if you don't have a flex fuel vehicle. Now, I'm flex fuel tuned for E70, and E85 near me is $3.80, whereas premium goes for double that out here. But in Illinois, where I was getting my car tuned at, E85 is around $5 up there, whereas premium up there was like $6, and then regular was somewhere in between there. So E85 can get really expensive, especially here in 2022. Now, prior to COVID and all this other stuff, E85 was around like $1 or something like that. I wasn't really paying attention to the prices back then. But E85 has gotten a little bit expensive, and the price gap between premium and your local station could differ, varying where you live or what city you're from. But for me, it's very situational, depending on your location. So there's definitely something you should look into before you decide to make the switch, or before you decide to buy the kit. Something you should definitely look into. Okay, the third item on the cons list is that E85 burns more fuel. E85 carries less energy than pump gas, so you will be burning around 10 to 15% more gasoline. Now, me personally, I don't really beat on my cars all that often. I mainly use the Corvette as a cruiser. Sometimes when I'm hanging out with the Chicago Corvette crew, I do kind of stomp on it, but for the most part, I'm just cruising along on the road, and I do a lot of highway driving. And to be honest with you, in my personal experience, driving back from the tuner's office and driving back from the club that I was just with, I haven't really experienced that much of a gas mileage drop. I was getting maybe 21 on a good day on regular premium, and now I'm getting like 18.5 on the highway on E85. And I mean, I barely even noticed the drop. And that's with the tune, mind you. And also the tune disabled active fuel management, so I no longer have the 4-cylinder motor, any of that stuff. And I keep the car in sport mode now. I used to keep the car in eco mode, but a lot has changed with the car, and I haven't really had a hit on my fuel economy. So is this something to take into consideration when it comes to the fuel consumption? How much money you're going to be spending on gas with your local E85 stations? You know, all those things come into play. You have to do your own math depending on your own situation. But for me, premium is twice as much as E85, and I'm only losing like 10% gas mileage. The savings are no brainer. My Corvette, the E85 transition, actually the $700 I used to get into E85 will probably pay itself off by the end of the year as gas prices continue to climb and the gap between premium fuel and E85 continues to widen. So that's something you should definitely consider. Maybe you should look into your stations and see if E85 has been climbing alongside your premium fuel. If it has, you know, that's something to take into consideration when it comes to your math and how much money you're actually going to be spending on E85. That's if you're moving to it for the gasoline savings alone, like I did, and I'm saving a lot of money on it. So yeah, something to consider. My next point is that the environmental damage and the carbon footprint of E85 is questionable at best. At first, you would think it's like a better fuel, it's a renewable resource, you know, blah blah blah. But you have to remember how much of a carbon footprint it costs to make E85. E85 comes from a resource that comes from the food that we eat. We use the alcohol and the corn and the soybeans and all that stuff. All that stuff we're taking it from a resource of food. So I wish I had the numbers on it, but to make a few tanks of E85, it takes acres of land, and it takes a lot of processing. It's grinded down to powder, and then it's mixed with alcohol and all sorts of stuff. And a lot of manufacturing power is used to make E85. So the carbon footprint is questionable. A lot of people like you, like me, don't really care about that sort of thing. But if you do, the carbon footprint is a little bit questionable for me. And the next con I have is actually not all E85 is the same. As you know, E85 is just 80% of ethanol. And depending on your car's tune, I'm tuned for E70. Not all gas stations get enough ethanol that will be enough for your car. So you don't want to get something that's like E55 or anything lower than what your car is tuned for. That can cause misfires and cause all sorts of engine issues. So you want to do your research and test the E85 in your local locations, because you do not want to have any engine problems with E85 that is not, I guess your car will run really rich if you don't get a good quality E85. So you have to do a little bit of homework regarding that as well. Now, the station that's near me, my car loves it. I haven't had any issues with it so far. It's only been a few days, so, you know, knock on wood, you know, but you definitely have to do your research on which stations get better E85. Some places get better E85 than others. That's just how it is. Not all E85 is made the same, so you definitely want to do your research on that. And an additional con, so this is a 6-con list, is that E85, you should not let your car sit with a full tank of E85 for no more than a week or two, because what will happen is in the tank, the E85 tends to hold in moisture, and so the way you can prevent this is actually just driving the car. I drive my car all the time, maybe a few times a week. As you can see, I have a Mustang here, which is a V6, and I drive these days, the Corvette is probably the best gas car I have. We have a Highlander, we have a Mustang, we have the Corvette, and the cost to fill up the Mustang on regular 87 versus E85, it is like such a noticeable difference. I just drive the Corvette half of the time. But regardless, leaving the car sitting still for like a week or two, the E85 will start to collect moisture, and you do not want water in your engine. Like, no one wants that to fly around here. No one wants water in their engine, so definitely drive your car. If you are going to be moving to flex fuel like I did in the winter, especially in the winter, I will probably just add a little bit of premium or let the car sit on premium, or just switch to premium altogether in the winter. But yes, do not let your car sit on E85. If you're going to switch to E85 or flex fuel or whatever, make sure you drive your car. That is very important. You don't want water in the engine because that can cause a whole slew of problems. So yeah. But yeah, that pretty much wraps up this video. I know this is a little bit of a longer video, but I really wanted to convey and communicate my pros and cons regarding E85 with this Corvette, because I'm not really big on, I don't really have high power goals for this car. I'm just your average dude that is tired of high gas prices, and I wanted to see if switching to a different kind of a fuel, especially with my situation and how cheap E85 is it worth it? I wanted to answer that question for you guys and give you my initial thoughts on it. I'll probably do a follow-up video maybe in a few months if gas prices continue to climb. But as of right now, I love feeding this car corn. Like, man, oh man, this is a huge savings. I feel like I have my car back, because previously I could not drive this car. My Corvette was like at least $100 a tank on premium, and I was burning through it like crazy. And I just could not do that anymore. And so I decided to front the money and switch over to flex fuel, and I have more power, more torque, and cheaper gas. I can't complain. It also disabled the active fuel management as well, so no more 4-cylinder mode, which I heard can cause a lot of problems with the engine down the road. This car does have almost 80,000 miles, so that's another huge plus. And the gas mileage hit is very negligible in my opinion. So yeah, that'll go ahead and wrap up this video. Sorry it was a little long, but I really wanted to get the information out there for anyone else just like me that was in my situation. So with that being said, that's the end of the video. Please like, comment, and subscribe. I also post very frequently on Instagram. Feel free to ask me any questions that you have there as well. I post there all the time. Excuse me. And until next time, I'll see you guys soon.
Go ahead and be a little positive. I rehearse my songs every day, it's so repetitive. I don't battle rap, but I ain't gon' lie, I'm competitive. I am the competition, I follow my intuition. Back then, all I did was wishing. That time is really ticking. I saw that sack, you know a nigga got to run it. I am the king, and your bitch kingdom.